welcome back to the channel. In today's video we are going to be taking a look here at the Golden Globe nominations. Now, I didn't make any Golden Globe prediction videos for multiple reasons. A, I don't care too much about the Golden Globes. B, I didn't know the nominations were this morning until I guess it was maybe Saturday night is when I realized that the Golden Globe nominations were so soon, and so I didn't make any predictions until last night, and so and honestly, I spent maybe 10 minutes making these nomination predictions. So we're gonna go over each of these categories real quick, and then before we do, I'm just gonna put my nominations or my predictions on the board, and then we'll take a look at what actually got nominated. Now, this is one of those things where I'm not going to be too excited or not excited for any direction. I don't think. Again, mainly because I don't think the Golden Globes represent too much about the general idea, like what the Oscars are going to do. They're not copying the Globes too much, but I also, for me personally, I mean, you could see my channel last year. I was so invested in the Oscars. I've always been invested in the Oscars. This has kind of been a little bit of a weird year for me, where this is I'm the least interested I've been, and I feel like a lot of these films that are in the Oscar race. So we'll see if maybe this is kind of, once we get into this first little taste of the Golden Globes, the nominations, if we're able to, this is able to spark my joy and spark my interest in the nominations. So yeah, the nominations have been out for hours now, 9-10 hours at this point. I finally just got home from work. I was able to survive the whole day not getting on Twitter and seeing anything, so nothing's been spoiled for me yet. So I'm excited. Let's jump into these nominations. All right, got this pulled up here. Luckily here, this privacy rights is possibly blocking out a couple spoilers here already for Best Motion Picture Drama. So my nominations, or my predictions that I had, were The Brutalist, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Sing Sing, Nickel Boys, and A Complete Unknown. This is also, in each of these categories, I'll also give you a couple kind of alternatives that I thought of. This is one of the categories there wasn't even really any alternatives, so anything that's not one of those six is going to shock me here. And okay, so we've got A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Nickel Boys, September 5, and The Brutalist. So what missed? Sing Sing missed? Oh, crazy. Um, I'll also preface, because I did just say in the introduction that this is one of the Oscar seasons where I've been the least interested and invested. It's also because I just haven't seen. I feel like there's still so many Oscar contenders that just haven't really been made wide yet. Things like Sing Sing. It did have such a limited release, and it didn't release where I was. I didn't see it anywhere. It is coming. It's getting a re-release, so I'm excited to see Sing Sing. But September 5, I haven't seen. The Brutalist, I haven't seen. Nickel Boys, I haven't seen. Complete Unknown, I haven't seen. So just kind of one of these things where it's just it's just going down the line. It's just a lot of these I'm super excited for. I just haven't got to see them yet. But interesting. I've heard great things about September 5. September 5 is one of those, I know nothing about it. I don't even know the cast. So I'm sure this is probably, if it's getting into Best Picture, it's probably going to spoil it for some of the acting. Will probably spoil a little bit of who's in it, but interesting. So there's Best Motion Picture Drama. Let's move on to Best Motion Picture Musical or Comedy. My predictions: I had Wicked, Anora, A Real Pain, Amelia Perez, Hitman, and The Substance. This is where kind of a bold thing. I feel like I have a gut feeling that Challengers probably will get nominated, and I want it to, because it's one of my favorite movies of the year. But I just kind of felt like something I don't know. Something urged me to put Hitman in there, so I threw Hitman in there over Challengers. Saturday Night is also one, or A Different Man has been picking up some buzz, so there's a couple others in the category, but those were the six I went with. So we've got A Real Pain, Anora, Challengers, Amelia Perez, The Substance, and Wicked. Okay, so I mean it was simple. That was probably the safe bet. That's what you should have gone with, and I would have if I didn't just have this random gut feeling for Hitman. I love Challengers, The Substance, and Hitman are probably three of my favorite movies that are somewhat in kind of Oscar contention. So I'm happy that two of the three of them got in. In this category, I'm rooting for The Substance for sure. What category do we have next? We've got Best Motion Picture Animated. Okay, so they're doing all of the pictures first. Also, you're going to see me looking down a lot. I have to. I said this in like my Oscar videos too. I have to write it down, otherwise I lose track of what like you know I lose track of what is snubbed. It's not like if you watch the Oscar Expert, if you watch their reaction videos, you'll see the kind of the fun scenes where one of them recognized it early, and then the second one, it takes them a couple seconds um, to figure out what was missing. If you leave that up to me, I won't recognize it. I won't notice it. So that's why I have to write it down. So we're doing Best Picture Animated. I went with The Wild Robot, Flow, Inside Out 2, Memoir of a Snail, Moana 2, and Piece by Piece. And we've got Flow, Inside Out 2, Memoir of a Snail, Moana 2, The Wild Robot, and Wallace and Gromit. So, no Piece by Piece. They went with Wallace and Gromit. I should have mentioned. The I did This is one of those. I did have a couple alternatives. Wallace and Gromit was one of them, as well as Transformers One. Um, but yeah, Wallace and Gromit. I've heard great things about it. I just again haven't seen it, and so I just didn't know if because I don't think it. I guess I can see on this poster January 3rd is when it comes out on Netflix. So I just didn't know if it was gonna. I just kind of went with Piece by Piece because I also predicted Piece by Piece in at least one other spot here, maybe two. I can't remember. So I just felt like a couple nominations here and there maybe would boost its chances in animated. Next up, we've got Best Motion Picture Non-English Language. So here I went with the Seed of the Sacred Fig, Amelia Perez, I'm Still Here, All We Imagine Is Light, Dee Dee, and Kneecap. Now, Dee Dee is my favorite movie of the year so far, so I just kind of had to put it in there. Just for me, I just wanted to give it the shout out and wanted to put it in there. I didn't think it would be eligible, but it was on the Oscar Expert, or I guess Brother Bro. It's on his app, so I just went with it. I didn't think it was going to be eligible, so I'm not really expecting Dee Dee to be here, but here's hoping. All right, we've got All We Imagine Is Light, Amelia Perez, I'm Still Here, The Seed of the Sacred Fig, so four of them. There is no Dee Dee. There's The Girl with the Needle, which, to be fair, a lot of these foreign language, I've heard of a couple of them. I don't know if I've heard of The Girl with the Needle. And then we've got this one that doesn't even have a poster, Vermiglio. Interesting. So I'm excited to see what those two were. Um, I'm assuming it's maybe just the website is just kind of yeah, I'm guessing it's the website is kind of formatted weird. They didn't get the poster in there, but yeah, there's literally not even a poster for Vermiglio. So interesting. I didn't put any kind of alternatives on this one because I haven't seen Amelia Perez is the only one of these that I've seen. So I just don't have a whole lot to add to this specific category. So that's why I didn't really put any in. Scrolling down a little bit, we've got Best Performance by a Female Actor in a Motion Picture Drama. Okay, so let's turn the page, get back to my female actor in a motion picture drama. So I've got in this category Angelina Jolie, Nicole Kidman, Marianne Jean Baptiste, Fernanda Torres, Tilda Swinton, and Kate Winslet. And then I put kind of like Saoirse Ronan and Julianne Moore as kind of alternatives. I would love Saoirse Ronan. She was my favorite actress. I would love for her to get nominated for The Outrun. I didn't love The Outrun. Saoirse Ronan by far was the best part of it, so it would be nice to see her being rewarded. And then I also put Pamela Anderson as well. It's just kind of an alternative pick here. So let's scroll. What do we have? Okay, so we got a lot of kind of switch ups. So we do have Angelina Jolie, we do have Nicole Kidman. So there's no Marianne. I'm probably butchering her name. Marianne Jean Baptiste. We don't have. So in her place, we do have Pamela Anderson. We do have Fernanda Torres, Tilda Swinton, and Kate Winslet. So I ended up getting 5 out of 6 there, which that's crazy because I feel like I took multiple risks with Kate Winslet, Tilda Swinton, and the fact that I got both of those and it was Marianne Jean Baptiste that I missed. That's crazy. I feel like that's probably, and this is one that I think I'm excited to after this go and watch the reactions of like Brother Bro and the Oscar expert to see their reaction because they're going to have, I feel like, a much more visceral reaction to that. For me, I just because I haven't seen a bunch of these movies, so I don't have quite that connection yet. But it still seems like a crazy snub because she was pretty high up there. I think a lot of people had her potentially kind of in that winning contention. So kind of a big snub. Best performance by a male actor in a motion picture drama. This one, I have Adrian Brody, Ray Fiennes, Timothy Chalamet, Coleman Domingo, Daniel Craig, and then in my sixth spot, kind of the wild card spot, I went with Kingsley Benadir. I kind of expected to be Sebastian Stan for The Apprentice. I kind of just took a shot with Kingsley Benadir, and then Paul Mescal. Also, just kind of put him in there, worth a shout out. So we've got Adrian Brody, Coleman Domingo, Daniel Craig, Ray Fiennes, Sebastian Stan, Timothy Chalamet. Okay, so no Kingsley Benadir. And in Sebastian Stan. So that, I mean, feel like that was kind of the predicted. I kind of went. I also tried to think outside of just what the main in my again my 10-minute predictions that I did last night. I kind of tried to think of outside of the kind of the consensus and went with a couple wild cards. So that's why I went with Kingsley Benadir, but alas, didn't get it. So then we've got best performance by a female actor in a motion picture, musical, or comedy. Okay, so I took a couple risks here that I'm already thinking aren't going to pay off. Actress in a musical or comedy, I went with Mikey Madison, Cynthia Erivo, Carla Sofia Gascon, Demi Moore, and then I went with both Amy Adams and Emma Stone. And Emma Stone was one of those that I just, because of on the awards expert app, because it was like only 3% were picking Emma Stone, I just decided to go for it. I just thought maybe something crazy would happen and Emma Stone would sneak in there because it's Emma Stone, you know. So I went for it. I don't expect it to happen, but I want to have the reaction of if I got it right. Okay. Oh, and I should also mention now that I've scrolled down, obviously because I saw her, Zendaya was kind of my big snub. Also, June Squibb for me deserved a shout out. So yeah, so we've got Amy Adams, we've got Cynthia Erivo, we've got Demi Moore, Carla Sofia Gascon, Mikey Madison, and Zendaya. So all it was just no Emma Stone and Zendaya in, which makes sense. The reason I didn't nominate Zendaya was partially because I guess I was just kind of predicting more Challengers snubs because Challengers has kind of been ignored, I feel like, in a lot of these kind of precursors that have happened before this. So I kind of was just kind of expecting some of the same, and so I just didn't. I think I predicted one nomination for Challengers, but as soon as Challengers got into picture, musical, or comedy, I knew Zendaya had to be here. So great. This is. I haven't seen. Yeah, in this category, I haven't seen Night Bitch. That's the only film I haven't seen yet. So Amy Adams is one of the few categories where I've seen everyone. You know, I've seen all of their work. So Amy Adams is the only one that I've missed that I haven't seen from this category. Then we've got performance by a male actor in a musical or comedy. This one I went with Jesse Eisenberg, Glenn Powell, Sebastian Stan, Gabriel LaBelle, Hugh Grant, and Jesse Plemons. Um, I did leave off Michael Keaton and Josh O'Connor. I'm starting to think Josh O'Connor might be in here now. I also really was tempted to do a Hail Mary on Ryan Gosling, just kind of the same thing as Emma Stone, just kind of the high of last award season, kind of carrying in. There was a lot of buzz for him in The Fall Guy, so I kind of was close to picking Ryan Gosling, but ultimately couldn't pull the trigger. It looks like I was right to not do it. Gabriel LaBelle, Glenn Powell, Hugh Grant, Jesse Eisenberg, Jesse Plemons, Sebastian Stan. So yeah, that's a perfect 6 for 6. So they didn't go Josh O'Connor. So but Zendaya plus a couple of the other nominations it's going to get looks like that was enough to get it that musical comedy best picture award. So then we've got best performance by a female actor in a supporting role in any motion picture. So supporting actress, I have Ariana Grande, Zoe Saldana, Felicity Jones, Danielle Deadwyler, Ingenue Ellis Taylor, and Isabel Rossellini. So just on the outside, I do have Selena Gomez, Margaret Qualley, maybe Margaret Qualley because there has been a little bit of substance love so far, and then Saoirse Ronan again for Blitz. I just want to give her another shout out, but Blitz doesn't seem like it's happening. So we've got Ariana Grande, Felicity Jones, Isabella Rossellini, Margaret Qualley, Selena Gomez, and Zoe Saldana. So no Ingenue Ellis Taylor and no Danielle Deadwyler. Again, I haven't seen Um, I haven't seen either of their films yet, so it's hard to say. Like that's part of it. It's weird doing these reactions because it's like I want to be like, oh, that's a massive snub, but haven't seen the films yet. It does just seem a little disappointing that there are so far a lot of the acting kind of the snubs. So far, it's been three African American women that have been kind of the big snubs, if you will. So not great, but obviously I mean, it is a great lineup here. I've seen again all but one. It's Felicity Jones. I haven't seen The Brutalist yet, which is probably The Brutalist might be my most anticipated the rest of the year. So I'm excited to see her in that. But everyone else here did give very solid performances. I'm not like Margaret Qualley's maybe who I'm like the biggest fan of their performance in any of these movies just because I love the substance so much. Um, yeah, kind of a crazy category with two missing there. And then we've got actor in a supporting role, motion picture. So here I have Kieran Culkin, Guy Pearce, Clarence Macklin, Denzel Washington, Yura Borisov, and Stanley Tucci. And then kind of the honorable mentions, I went with Edward Norton, Jeremy Strong, and Jonathan Bailey. Jonathan Bailey is the one that kind of I don't want to say makes me the most nervous because I just in case it's a big wicked just a lot of wicked love. I feel like he could sneak in. I didn't have the guts to predict it. We've got Denzel Washington, Edward Norton, Guy Pearce, Jeremy Strong, Kieran Culkin, and Yura Borisov. So we didn't have Clarence Macklin or Stanley Tucci are the two that missed. So Stanley Tucci, I can understand. He's a little more reserved in Conclave. I still liked his performance, but he is a little more reserved. But yeah, both Edward Norton and Jeremy Strong. Clarence Macklin missing. That does seem crazy to me as well. Again, because I haven't seen Sing, but I've heard a lot of just great things about him. Just not only like his role, but just his story and him as a person. Like I've heard a lot of great things about that, so I felt like that was kind of one of those shoe-ins. But yeah, it kind of seems crazy that he missed as well to get both Norton and Jeremy Strong in there. A lot of just, I mean, great actors. They've done, I mean, a category that has Denzel, Edward Norton, Jeremy Strong, Guy Pearce. His had a long career, and then it's kind of the I guess Yura Borisov, I don't know his filmography too well. I don't know if he's a newcomer. And then Kieran Culkin, who's probably the winner in this category. So that's a pretty stacked category in terms of just like, in terms of the actors themselves. And then we've got Best Director. I went with Brady Corbet. Not sure how you pronounce his name. Sean Baker, Denis Villeneuve, Edward Berger, John M. Chu, and Jacques Audiard. I think is how you pronounce his name. Um, and then my one snub, I did have Coralie Farget, who I would love again because I love The Substance. It's my favorite movie that's in kind of award consideration this year, so I'm really rooting for it. I don't know if it. I just didn't. I didn't know who to kick out for her. John M. Chu. I mean, I personally would put him in over John or her in over John M. Chu, but I feel like he's happening. Denis Villeneuve. Maybe there's a chance of more shenanigans like last Oscar season, but I don't think it would start until the Oscars. But then everyone else, Jacques Audiard, maybe. They're just I didn't know who to take out for Coralie Farget. So let's take a look here. We've got a lot of people that don't have pictures. Okay, so we've got Brady Corbet, uh, Coralie Farget, Edward Berger, Jacques Audiard, Payal Kapadia. Sorry, I completely butchered that name. Payal Kapadia, the director of All We Imagine Is Light, and then Sean Baker. That does mean they snubbed Denis Villeneuve. Um, okay, and John M. Chu. Okay, well, huh? Denis Villeneuve. I'm kind of nervous for Dune Part Two. It's crazy because of how well it did Dune the first Dune did in the awards. Like they got 6 Oscars, right? And it was just sweeping up the tech categories. It was dominating. It was doing so good. And then when I saw Dune Part Two earlier this year, I remember thinking, "There's no way this doesn't duplicate that. There's no way this doesn't exceed it because it is a better movie than the first." That is crazy. And I'm now just kind of nervous that I think Dune Part 2 might just kind of be dead. It might just be like a tech film. It might not get any kind of above the line. It might not get any screenplay, might not get any director, might not get, obviously wasn't going to get any actors. Um, Despite how good like Timothy Chalamet is, like it's just not in contention for actors. So I think that's going to be kind of just banished almost in the Oscars to just in the corner with all it is just kind of technical categories. That's I don't fully. I'd have to look at like how many how many times someone. I mean, obviously it's a decent amount because you're gonna get all of like the late risers. But it's interesting because Dune doesn't. It's not like a late rising movie. It's something that's been out. So that's crazy. That is crazy, and I'm glad I didn't get on Twitter because that would have been spoiled. I would have that people are probably talking about that on Twitter. Um, So next up, we have Best Screenplay Motion Picture. For screenplay, I went with Anora, Conclave, The Brutalist, A Real Pain, Sing Sing, and The Nickel Boys. And then I have The Substance and Amelia Perez off. I kind of have a gut feeling The Substance might be here because it seems like it is kind of overperforming, which is good and it should overperform. So we've got The Brutalist, yes, and then Brady Corbett, Mona Fastvold, Corley Fargette for The Substance, yes. Oh, wait, so yeah, so that means something missed. Jacques Audiard for Amelia Perez, Jesse Eisenberg, Real Pain, Peter Strawn for Conclave, and Sean Baker for Honora. So it's Sing Sing. So Sing Sing seems to be struggling here, um, which is kind of crazy because I felt like going back to last year, Sing Sing was considered one of the favorites, and then it kind of disappeared. It kind of was like falling off. It wasn't seen, and so I think people just weren't predicting it. And then all of a sudden, Sing Sing's one of those films that was kind of sweeping up a lot of the Gotham's and um, independent film, all these different kind of awards that have been going on, AFIs, things like that. Like Sing Sing had been there and had been dominating a lot of things. So it seems crazy that now once we get to the Globes, suddenly it's not performing. Um, Interesting. I'm glad the substance is here, but I feel like that means the substance like hasn't missed anything. So the substance seems like it's a big player at least here at the Globes. And then we have original score. For here, I went Dune Part Two, which is ineligible for the Oscar, but I think it will win a lot of these precursors just to make the Oscar that much more confusing. So I'm gonna go Doom Part Two, The Brutalist, Conclave, Challengers, The Wild Robot, and Amelia Perez. And I wanted to give just a special shout out to Saturday Night because I love the score in Saturday Night. The way that like it's so anxiety inducing, kind of the score, the beats in there. So I wanted to give it a shout out. But we've got Amelia Perez, The Brutalist, Dune Part Two, The Wild Robot, Challengers, and Conclave. So that's a 6 for 6 category there. Nothing too crazy. Um, yeah, I think maybe The Brutalist. Again, I haven't seen it, so I can't really comment on the score. But I feel like that could be the favorite at the Oscar, with Hans Zimmer and Dune being ineligible. Volker Bertelmann, he just won with Edward Berger's last film, All Quiet on the Western Front. He could be there. Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. Chris Bowers has kind of become a little bit of uh, an Oscars darling over the last several years. So, I mean, this is going to be one of those categories I think is just going to be completely tossed up at the Oscars. Best original song. Here I went with like the two, both Amelia Perez songs, kind of one and two. I didn't know how to like really separate them. Then Like a Bird, Kiss the Sky, Forbidden Road, and then I did throw a little shout out to Harper and Will Go West. I don't think it's going to get nominated. I'm not anticipating it at all, but it's one of those songs like I truly like I thought it was beautiful. I was moved by at the end of that. At the end of Will and Harper, or Harper and Will Go West, I was just really moved by the end of that. So, what do we have here? We have "Beautiful That Way" from The Last Showgirl. Okay, sung by Miley Cyrus. That makes sense. We have "Compress Repress" from Challengers. El Mal, Amelia Perez, Mi Camino, Amelia Perez. So I got both those, and then Forbidden Road and Kiss the Sky. So the only thing, okay, so no. So I guess I know Like a Bird, and then No Heartburn Will Go West, but Beautiful That Way. I'll have to listen to that. I didn't. I mean, I'm sure with it being Miley, I'm sure I would have just kind of heard it at some point, but I haven't yet. Compress Repress is super fun because if you saw earlier about I guess 4 or 5 months ago on my channel, I did a video of the halfway Oscars and what I was predicting that at that point, if everything that was like released after July on didn't exist, like what would win at the Oscars, and I nominated Compress Repress. I didn't think that was really much of a contender, but it's the song from Challengers. It's like I think it might be the credit song, but it's the one that kind of like it stuck out to me the most when I was watching the movie. So that's kind of cool seeing Compress Repress in there. And then we've got cinematic and box office achievement. Like, what is this? I got. How do you predict? I went with pretty much all the sequels: Wicked, Dune Part Two, Inside Out 2, Deadpool and Wolverine, Gladiator 2, Moana 2, Twisters, and The Wild Robot. I had Beetlejuice on the outside looking in. I put the Wild Robot in over it solely because I wanted the Wild Robot in there because I want like a film in there that stands apart on its own. That's not a part of like a sequel. I mean, literally, Twisters is like a revival. Deadpool and Wolverine's a trilogy. Moana 2, Gladiator 2, Inside Out 2, Tomb Part 2 are all sequels, direct sequels, and then Wicked, obviously part of the Wizard of Oz world. Although, as far as I can tell, it sounds like Wicked it's not like canon with the Wizard of Oz. Like it's similar. Like obviously it's the same people, but it's not like gonna tie in 100% exactly to the Wizard of Oz. But yeah, that's the reason I went with the Wild Robot. Is I just wanted to see a little bit more of a shakeup in here. We've got Alien Romulus, so still another franchise film, but at least not the kind of what I was predicting. Holy cow! Beetlejuice, Deadpool and Wolverine, Gladiator 2, Inside Out 2, The Wild Robot, Twisters, and Wicked. So that means Moana 2 and Dune Part 2. Yeah, what is going on with Dune Part 2? So this is cinematic and box office achievement. So obviously we're rewarding films for making a lot of money. I know Dune Part 2 didn't make as much money as it should have, but I still think it made more than a couple of the films on here. And so then, if you're not using the box office argument and you're saying it's the cinematic argument on this side of it, like the better cinema experience, then how the hell do you not have Dune Part 2 in here? Over. This is. I mean, this is just a shit show category to begin with, and I don't know what you do. Like, obviously, Inside Out 2 was going to be here because it's, the highest grossing. And I think if I remember right, Barbie won last year because it was the highest grossing film of the year. So I think that's pretty much all you do here is you just reward whichever one of these films made the most money, which is Inside Out 2. Maybe you or reward Deadpool and Wolverine for being so high grossing as an R-rated film, but I'm like, I have to look up afterwards how much money Dune Part 2 made because it made more than some of these. That's crazy. And then is that it? Because now I've got best television series drama. Let me just go through my notes real quick. We went over picture, actress, and went over all the acting, screenplay, cinematic, box office, picture. Okay, so yeah, it looks like that was everything. So let's actually do that right now. Let me pull this up real quick. All right, yeah, we've got the 2024 worldwide box office. Inside Out 2, Deadpool, Wolverine, Despicable Me 4, Doom Part 2. I mean, I guess maybe I should have been as upset about Despicable Me 4 getting. I didn't realize it made that much money. Doom Part 2 almost made 714. I guess it's not quite almost a billion, but pretty close compared to Moana 2 was nominated. Wicked. Obviously, Wicked still going. Beetlejuice looks like it stopped at about 450. That is more than I thought Beetlejuice made. Twisters 370. Alien Romulus 350. The Wild Robot 323, which I think is great for an animated film, the kind of a standalone animated film like that. So, Dune Part 2. What part of cinematic and what part of box office did it not meet the criteria to get nominated? I don't know. That's crazy. Well, that's it. Thank you for watching this video. Again, I don't take the Golden Globes too terribly seriously in terms of what I feel for the Oscars. It is a nice little early indication, but this is by no means things are dead. Like Dune Part Two, just because it stunk it up here at the. So yeah, what did Dune Part Two even get? Wish I would have. I guess I could have looked that up and seen the kind of final tallies. But as far as I can remember off the top of my head, Dune Part Two got one nomination, right? It just got score. Like that's all it got here, which is oh no, it had to have gotten picture drama, right? Yeah, it did get picture drama still, so it got two nominations. But that's just crazy. Um, yeah, I'll have to kind of do. I'm excited to go watch some other the Oscar expert and the other people that do these reaction videos because I'm excited to see kind of like what I missed and what's yeah. Now that I'm thinking, yeah, things are just kind of popping out as crazy things to me. So September 5 got nominated for picture drama. It didn't get a single other nomination, right? Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I'm like now just kind of some of the craziness that's all kind of popping out here. But yeah, I'm excited to take a little bit more of a deep dive into this and really kind of examine this and watch some other reactions again to see what I missed. Let me know down below in the comments what you thought of these nominations. Who was snubbed? What nominations were you excited about? For me, it's all of the love for The Substance. I was kind of expecting it to kind of not get it, even though it deserves it. So I'm excited that that's kind of heavily featured here because that gives me something that I'm really passionate about and actually can really root for. So yeah, just let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you would like to like the video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate it, and have a great day.